New breaking update in our ongoing reports on the, tendency for Trump to taco. He has called for jailing Pritzker and Brandon Johnson. That's the short of it.
This morning, more troops are on the ground in American cities. And moments ago, President Trump weighed in again and is trying to ratchet things up rather than calm things down. Again, sending out this message. We'll show you. Chicago's mayor should be in jail for failing to protect ICE officers. Governor Pritzker also. It comes as the Trump administration and Trump administration officials have been traveling to different parts of the country for firsthand looks at ICE operations. The DHS secretary was in Portland, Oregon just yesterday. A source telling CNN she met with the city's chief of police and others who oppose the military deployment there. And the FBI director, Kash Patel, was just in Chicago, where National Guard troops from Texas just arrived. They're doing training and awaiting specific assignments, possibly deploying as early as today. And at the center of much of the protests...
Again, and I'm going to reiterate this, and I'm sorry if you're tired of hearing the same thing, but it's really important for me to keep clarifying. The number of Texan National Guardsmen that have been deployed to Chicago is not that high, okay? It's 200 right now. Just 200. That is not enough to meaningfully occupy the city. This is all a big vice signal, all right? They are trying to provoke antagonism against the National Guardsmen in the hopes of sparking some kind of Kent State, massacre-like incident so they can use that as an excuse to crack down further. They, at the moment, are not even remotely capable of holding the city because, as it turns out, by far the largest occupying force in any city is the police department. And the police department in Chicago and Portland, etc., is far more numerous, and in these cases not compliant at all with the agenda of the Trump administration, which is probably why Kristi Noem went over to Portland to talk with their police chief the other day, because they know they can't do anything without the support of the police. Did you see how fat they are? No, and I'm always down to be fat phobic. Oh my God. Well, gravy seals. Now that's some padding. Yeah, you're laughing until one of these guys tackles you, okay? You're laughing until they come after you. The Chungus cometh. Give us a phrenology assessment. All I can tell you is that these boys are going to get hungry on the drive over from the base to Chicago. Didn't Hegseth just talk about not wanting fat folks? Do you think the Texan National Guard is based in woke? So they were like, oh yeah, we'll send you 200 guardsmen. And they deployed, the gravy seals over. Here you go. Look, no hate. They're National Guardsmen. They're part-timers.
Clashes has been about 12 miles west of Chicago, actually, at an ICE facility in the town of Broadview. And the mayor of Broadview, Katrina Thompson, joins us right now. Mayor, thanks so much for being here. I appreciate your time. First and foremost, I want to ask you about the troops. They've got the National Guard from Texas arriving in Illinois. There's a lot of lack of clarity of what happens next. Are you expecting them to come to Broadview? What are you preparing for?
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me. What I am prepared for is just making sure that we are communicating with the residents of Broadview and to protect them to be safe. We do know that the National Guard is not local law enforcement. They are military. They have no local police training. Having them serve as a local law enforcement is asking them to serve outside of their training. We didn't ask for them. We don't want them here. And I feel
Wouldn't it be smartest to just not protest and give them nothing in terms of tear gas in the streets videos? In my opinion, basically no time and effort should be spent antagonizing or confronting the National Guardsmen. For one, they have no choice in being there. They're military. They don't have all the rights that federal agents do. Also, they can't conduct any arrests. They're literally just there to be guards. They can't really do anything without the Insurrection Act, I think that for the and we saw this in Los Angeles, remember? The ICE dipshits over in LA were the ones like really tussling with people, and to an extent the LAPD because they're evil. But the National Guardsmen and the Marines were just like standing around because they can't. Yeah, in DC they're just picking up trash. So we should just let it happen? No, I didn't say that. I'm saying that you shouldn't direct your protesting against the National Guardsmen because it's meaningless. They're not doing the thing, and they had no choice If anything, you would want them to be maximally sympathetic. Unfortunately, it's pretty difficult to, at a glance, distinguish between National Guardsmen and ICE agents because ICE agents also dress military these days. Presumably, the only real difference that you could identify from a distance is that the ICE agents are wearing masks. The soldiers are not. The ICE agents are all former Proud Boys and 3%ers, so they've got masks on. I don't know.
They would escalate and escalate the conflict started by the flame of ICE. So we just try to just manage as best we can.
The ICE agents are also fatter. Well, that was the case with the California National Guard in Los Angeles. But the Texas National Guard, everything's bigger in Texas, okay?
Do you think it could inflame things further from what you've already been trying to get a handle on and control?
Oh, absolutely. Our experience with ICE has been terrible. ICE is the one who's been instigating all the problems against our village and against our residents. They did not respect our local laws. They did not respect life safety issues, and they are causing problems and committing crimes.
Cannot overstate how much our fragile democracy right now is hinging on the hope that local police departments do not become amenable to ICE. Literally, like, that's the thread, okay? The entire American experiment is dangling from a thread of spider's silk, and that thread is exactly as strong as local police departments' negative disposition towards ICE.
Unprovoked firing of rubber bullets and other projectiles, dispensing tear gas.
That is the
and
thin
other
blue
chemicals
line.
Without the regard of the residents across the street who are being harmed.
Mayor, I just read what the president just sent out today, saying that the governor and the mayor of Chicago should be in jail for failing to protect ICE officers. As I've already mentioned, the ICE facility that's kind of been a central focus for weeks now is in your very small town.
When it finally breaks out, if they get an arrest, if the cops arrest an ICE agent for like obvious crimes, and then they get unmasked and they're perp walked, and in their photo they're identified as like a former Atomwaffen member or whatever, holy shit. Oh my, I need it. I need it. I need it, please.
What is your reaction to the president when he says that?
Well, you know, he has his right to his opinions, and I severely disagree with that. We have a right to protect our communities. We have a right to protect the state of Illinois, and we didn't ask for the National Guard.
I want to play for you something because Portland is another prominent city facing something of what you're dealing with in Illinois. My colleague Shimon Prokupez spoke with a congresswoman from Portland who is there and begging protesters at an ICE facility there to leave, because what she says is that outrage is exactly what the administration is looking for. Let me play for you what this congresswoman says.
I think this is conditionally true. I really don't think there's any political benefit whatsoever to antagonizing the National Guard. There is nothing the Trump administration wants more than for the National Guard to have the lawful ability to defend themselves against protesters. Like if the National Guard, like if they're antagonized to a point where the National Guard either feels or actually is justified in engaging in, you know, self-defense, which would work out really badly for the protesters, by the way. Okay, really, really badly. Because fat as some of them are, the National Guardsmen are still National Guardsmen, you know. So right. But you know, obviously, if the protesters make life hard for ICE agents, I'm not gonna shed a tear over that. I would never condone it, of course, because that could be described as supporting terrorism these days.
By going to that facility, people are not being strategic. You know, at this moment in time, protesting in the streets is absolutely important. Just don't protest right there, because then you're playing into their story that is not the reality, as you can see looking around.
I wonder, hold on. Okay, I think there is a version of this that is true. I think that the version of anti-ICE protests that is just camped outside the facility is what the Trump administration benefits from the most. And the version of anti-ICE protests where it's just like on the streets of Chicago, when regular people see ICE agents, they're antagonistic. That's probably better. You know what I mean? Because the protesters that are crowded around outside the building, easy to disperse, easy to tear gas, easy to fearmonger over. Whereas if it's just like, oh, there's 2 ICE agents conducting an arrest. Did you guys see that de-arresting video? The one where those 2 ICE agent Gestapo Nazis tried to grab some poor brown guy off the street, and a bunch of the civilians in the area were filming and like circling in, and eventually ended up getting the guy free. They gave up, yeah, because they don't have real police training. If they were real police officers, they would have handled that situation differently, but they didn't because they don't. There are versions of protesting that work out better, I think. Video? Yeah, I'll show the video. Roll the clip. It's quite long, but you can see the... And people stop around them and honk their horns, and more people start circling around the ICE agents. It's quite a long video, but eventually the ICE agents give up, they get back in their car and they leave. Now, if those agents were trained properly, they actually would have been able to handle that situation a lot better, but they're not, and they won't be. There is the administration does not have time to pull back all these new neo-Nazi hires and give them all like 6 months training at an academy, okay?
You become part of a war zone narrative if they decide that that's the time they're going to go out there and provoke.
Do you agree with her? I mean, would you like to see the protesters leave? Because I know that you have signed an executive order to limit the hours that protesters can protest at the facility.
Oh, absolutely. We know that ICE don't respect local laws. They don't respect First Amendment speech and assembly, and the Fourth Amendment unlawful in assembly. So absolutely. And we want to make sure that the people that visit our town every day, that they're safe and they feel protected. By going into that facility is just going to incite other things that can take place. And we just want people to be safe, but be able to exercise their freedom of speech.
But you'd like to see the protesters leave. You think they're playing into the administration's hands by protesting outside the facility?
Well, emotions are high right now.
This is a very complicated topic. I don't necessarily fault people for having answers on this that are a little bit awkward, especially just like a random mayor, you know? You're a mayor, you're not like a political analyst. That's like actually a really tough question to answer. Like at what point, like where exactly the protests are best directed. So I'm not going to get too up with it, I suppose. Where is that other clip? Oh yeah, speaking of freedom of expression.
1-year penalty for inciting riots. We took the freedom of speech away because that's been through the courts, and the court said you have freedom of speech. But what has happened is when they burn a flag, it agitates and irritates crowds. They've never seen anything like it on both sides, and you end up with riots. So we're going on that basis. We're looking at it not from the freedom of speech, which I always felt strongly about, but never passed the courts.
So that's pretty funny. Again, Trump doesn't seem to know what's going on in the country outside of what he's directly told. So I think that he thinks that his executive order making it illegal to burn the flag actually ended the First Amendment. I don't know. This roundtable has Andy Ngo and Jack Posobiec at it. Yeah, of course. They're anti-Antifa, whatever, you know, somebody should come up with a shorter version of that term. Specialists. Anyway, so far, it's still all talk, no hog, okay? It's all dick and no balls. There's no shooters in there, you know? Just an empty sausage casing. It's nothing, okay? 200 federal guard or 200 federally or federalized National Guardsmen. Half of them are fat. Make of that what you will. Local police don't like ICE. Local mayors don't like ICE. Brandon Johnson's putting in anti-ICE zones to prevent them from deploying in certain areas controlled by the city. Trump says that the mayor and governor should be arrested. Doesn't seem like it's going to happen. That would be a pretty nuts in the table moment. I really don't think they're going to come after Pritzker.
You know as well as I do, the President of the United States in the last 24 hours called for you to be imprisoned. I want to give you an opportunity. We've seen your reaction on social media, but I want to hear what you have to say back to the President of the United States.
Well, let's start with the idea that this is a convicted felon. I mean, think about that, who is threatening to jail me. I got to say, this guy's unhinged. He's insecure. He's a wannabe dictator. And there's one thing I really want to say to Donald Trump. If you come for my people, you come through me. So come and get me.
And Newsom pulled this gambit earlier, back when he first deployed the National Guard over to Los Angeles, and it worked in favor of Gavin Newsom. Who was it? It wasn't Trump himself. It was Tom Homan. Tom Homan called for the arrest of Newsom, and then Trump echoed it. And Newsom essentially said, come on then, do it. And they backed off. And now this is happening again. Listen, as long as they keep... All of the power the administration has gained has been from people complying in advance. Over and over and over and over and over again. It's been from corporations not going to court. It's been from politicians folding in advance. They fail every time they confront any real opposition. Really hope they keep it up, you know? And there's no way they could arrest Pritzker. Absolutely no way. They would have to do it with ICE. On what grounds? They don't even have the authority. They would have no legal excuse. And also... like, Jesus, man. Oh, God, I want them to try. I want them to try so fucking badly. I want these drugged up, retard, incest baby, meth head fucking Nazi freaks that have joined ICE to move in a caravan towards the governor's mansion and just be confronted by an army of state troopers who they just have to stare across that. Like, what the fuck are they going to do? What are they going to do? Or Pritzker's in the Capitol building. Like, I want videos on that. Please, God, show me. These people who can't even conduct an arrest properly. These people who are, like, giggling and guffawing as they, handcuff naked children and drag them out into the street in 2 a.m., you know? I want to see them try to arrest a governor. Are there state troopers? Yeah, state police. Well, I don't know if they're called state troopers in Illinois. In California, it's the California Highway Patrol. I don't know what the term is for their state police, but they have them.